First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you brothers that's out there listening and learning and supporting the ministry, and shalom to the few sisters as well. And in this video I want to go into rationing during World War II and how it's going to apply to the time of tribulation that we're about to enter into, i.e. the economic collapse, martial law, World War III. And it is my belief that a lot of people that are going to receive the mark of the beast, they're going to receive it through the want of food, through the desire to eat, and they're going to seek unto their God, which is the power structure of the so-called white man, or these various governments of the heathen. Okay, instead of seeking unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because ultimately they don't really believe that practically Yahweh Hashem Yahushua can provide for them. That's something which is what I call a theory to them. They're theoretical Israelites. The scriptures is just a theory. They believe in the flesh. To them, the flesh is practical and the spirit is a theory. Okay, to the believers, the spirit, the spiritual things and testimonies of this scripture is practical. Okay, because they've been given the special gift of faith. These theoretical Israelites and the people in the world, because what am I talking about? A lot of these guys, I know the Israelites, they are in the world, they're of the world because they lack faith. Ultimately they don't believe that a man walked on water. That's not practical to them. That's something which is not in the flesh. That's a spiritual thing. That's something they speak about, but they really don't believe it. And we're seeing that. That's why they're trying to force the hand of the Lord instead of trusting in his words. They're carnal. That's why the scripture says the carnal mind is enmity with the Most High. Okay. So a lot of people are gonna take that chip by reason of food, and we know famine is a big part of the judgment to come. It tells you in the book of 2 Ezra 16th chapter that many of them on the earth shall perish by the famine. And we also know that famine is one of the most terrible ways to be destroyed. Scripture said it is worse than they that are killed by famine are worse than they that are slain with the sword, because it's a slow, agonizing, and painful death. All right. Now I just want to get Revelations 14 real quick. Revelations 14:9, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand." Now, the mark of the beast is a physical thing. It's the implantable microchip. That's what this devil is going to use to control and number the people. That's what it's all about, control and numbering the people, and the control of resources. That's what RFID was all set up to do, to monitor things, to quantify items, resources. And to them, humans are a resource that needs to be quantified and tracked. Okay, Esau's doing too much. But the scripture says worship the beast. Now when you look up the word worship, oops, I think I need to go back. All right. Any man worship. Sorry. There we go.
Strong's G 4352. Proskuneo.
All right, which means basically meaning to kiss like a dog licking his master's hand. That's like when you see that the people with the sign, where FEMA at? Because they believe in FEMA. They believe in, when all hell breaks loose, the majority of our people, they're going to seek towards the power they know. And the power they know is the so-called white man. They don't know Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They don't really believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but they know the so-called white man, and they're going to seek unto him, and they're going to receive his mark in the hope of receiving food. Now, let's go back into history. I want to read this article because I thought the history was good, and it will give you some insight as to what happens, man. And Esau knows this is what he's going to do again. How he's going to get a lot of people to take the chip is through the rationing of food. Now, it says here, rationing. This is from Spartacus Educational. Oops, what's happened there? Salakia. Right? This is during World War II. Before the Second World War started, Britain imported about 55 million tons of food a year from other countries. Okay, so what you gotta understand is, like, places like America, Britain, France, these are now juiced into a global food market. See, there was a time when nations were self-sufficient when it comes to the food production. But now what's happened is, through globalism, they're all reliant on each other and interconnected. So if there's a breakdown in the logistics of food traveling throughout the world, places like Britain and America are going to find themselves in a world of hurt. Even if there's a breakdown within these countries where food cannot get from one part of the country to the other easily as it is now. Again, this leaves it open to famine. When you go do the research on famine, famines don't necessarily happen because there is no food. A lot of times famine happens because there is food, but there's just no food where you are. It's not available to you. Okay? Says before this, and a lot of people before, it was subsistence farmers, meaning they used to provide food for themselves. But we live in a society where people are reliant on a system, a large system for food, instead of mainly being reliant on themselves and, you know, the local weather and so forth. All right, it says, understandably, the German government did what they could to disrupt this trade. One of the main methods used by the Germans was to get their battleships and submarines to hunt down and sink British merchant vessels. So this is going to happen once the economic crisis hits. That's going to stop food traveling to an extent. And then when World War III hits, the actual enemy nations are going to be shooting and destroying each other's vessels that are moving food around. That happened in World War II, and it happened again. And what that is going to cause is a great scarcity of food throughout the earth, especially in highly populated areas, because most highly populated areas don't have their own means of food production. Okay, which is going to lead to what? Scarcity of food. And who you think is going to control the majority of that food? The governments. That's what governments do in a crisis. They take control. This is one of the main methods used by the Germans, was to get their battleships and submarines to hunt down and sink British merchant vessels, with imports of food declining. The British government decided to introduce a system of rationing. This involved every householder registering with their local shop. Now, that should ring alarm bells in your head, because you see, before, this process was done with pen and paper. When this happens again, you're not gonna register with pen and paper, and you're gonna have to take that chip. And why was it a local shop? Because you were still buying and selling. They were still buying and selling food under the ration, but it was completely controlled by the government. The shopkeeper was then provided with enough food for his or her registered customers. So the shopkeeper, the amount of food he received was controlled by the government, and then he would control the amount of food each household would receive. Okay, remember quantification. In January 1940, bacon, butter, and sugar were rationed. This was followed by meat, fish, tea, jam, biscuits, breakfast cereals, cheese, eggs, milk, and canned fruit. Rationing was popular with the people, and a Gallup poll showed over 60% in favor of this system. However, many shopkeepers complain about the strategy used by food inspectors of employing people to encourage the breaking of the law. In December 1940, Isabella Thompson was employed in Stepney to visit butchers' shops and attempt to buy meat with coupons. Okay, because what they were given were coupon books. They were given books which had coupons in it, which allowed them to purchase a certain amount of food. Now, what do you think they're going to give you in this day and age? A coupon? No. They're going to implant you with a microchip, and that information is going to be already on your chip as to how much you can receive in any one day. It's all computerized. As a result, the 3 butchers in one road were heavily fined for this offense. These undercover officials acting as agent provocateurs were severely criticized in the press. Food inspectors in Hendon were also criticized for using a team of women who tried to trick shop assistants into selling goods without coupons. The scheme involved the customer handing over her ration book and asking for 2 ounces of tea. When the shop assistant had almost finished serving her, the customer changed her mind and asked for 4 ounces. If the shop assistant forgot to take out a second 2-ounce coupon, they would be charged with breaking rationing restrictions. In a short period, 59 Hendon shopkeepers were successfully prosecuted for this offense. So you see, there were ways, people were trying to do, and they were trying to put an end to that. But guess what? Ultimately, the chip brings that complete control. It was announced that in March 1941, under the Food Control Order, the system of rationing, 2,141 prosecutions were brought, and there were 1,994 convictions, a success rate of 93.1%. The following month, this had increased to 2,300 prosecutions, and blah, 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 blah. In the summer of 1940, the government established a committee of nutritional experts to advise the War Cabinet on food policy. The committee issued a report claiming that each citizen could survive on 12 ounces of bread, a pound of potatoes, 2 ounces of oatmeal, an ounce of fat, 6 ounces of vegetables, and 6/10 of a pint of milk per day, supplemented either by small amounts of cheese, pulses, meat, fish, sugar, eggs, and dried fruit. Winston Churchill was concerned by the implications of this proposal, and the advice was not published. But guess what? This time it's going to be so raw, they're going to do that. And they're going to bring them rations down low. Some people considered food rationing to be very unfair. Eggs, butter, and meat could be obtained fairly easily without coupons in rural areas. By the summer of 1941, greengrocers were taking their lorries into the country to buy vegetables direct from growers. But now that won't happen, because with all the hell breaking loose, first of all, it's going to be very difficult for the average person to travel from one place to another. Okay? Secondly, the government this time is going to take control of all these production. Okay? That's why you got Big Pharma. Okay, remember, this is a completely different time. The open-air market at Romford, which I live quite close to this, soon developed a reputation for being a good place to buy black market goods. Traders relied on tic-tac men to signal the approach of the police or known trading inspectors. Local newspapers published stories of market traders doing a great trade in selling goods without coupons. So they were going around the system, because it wasn't locked down tight. But this time they're gonna lock it down tight, man. All right. So I mean, that's the point on that, man. And you can go into that, how the rationing system works. But pretty much this is gonna come back in a more harsh way. And the difference is this time they ain't gonna be giving you no coupon booklet. They're going to be requiring you to receive that mark of the beast, man. And a lot of people are going to take that mark in hope of receiving of rations, man. because there's going to be a lack of bread. There's going to be a lack of food out here, man. Okay. Now we who are believers, man, in Yahweh Shai, we gotta remain focused on Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai and his word, and believe in him, because he said he would deliver us from famine, not FEMA, not the government. Okay, so that's when we gotta be practical with the scriptures. That's when we gotta be practical. That's why we have to see these scriptures as a practical thing. It's not just a theory. All right. And then the Lord will be with you. Psalms 33 and 19 to deliver. In fact, 18 really I want. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. So if you believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, the scripture says that if you fear him, okay, and you look to him for mercy, that he will keep you alive in famine. Now you might say, well, how is the Lord going to do that? It's not for us to know how. It's just simply for us to know that he is, and he can. And Lord will, I want to do some more videos going into the testimonies in the scriptures, man, and show you that we have a sure power, man. Who if you believe these testimonies, man, we ain't got nothing to worry about, man, as long as he's with us, because it is in the Lord's power to deliver, man, from all things. Okay, to hell with this devil. He's not the true power. Our soul waiteth for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. He is our help. We will worship Yahweh, and we will worship Yahweh Shai, man. All right. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. We're going to trust in his name instead of trusting in Esau, man, and his government and his structure. All right. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us according as we hope in thee. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that out. You know, like, I always like to speak about the whole rationing thing, because it's going to get to that point. You know, it's going to get to that point. Totalitarianism is coming. Complete governmental control is coming. And that's what they want anyway. All they need is the right crisis, so that they could take away everyone's rights to property, rights to every right you think you have in this man's society. They're going to take it all away. All power is going to rest with the state. Okay, and like I said, a lot of our people are going to bow to that power in the time of crisis. The believers are going to bow to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man, and look to him for deliverance. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say shalom.